All right. It is Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020 at 9:22 p.m. All right, let's take a look quickly here at what the story is. Unprecedented public report on UFOs requested from the Senate Intel Committee. Lawmakers want to know what data exists, how it's shared, what threats these craft might pose, and if an adversary has new breakthrough technology. So Marco Rubio says members of the U.S. Senate have expressed concern that the U.S. military, as well as other federal government agencies, have not been giving the appropriate amount of attention to reports of encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, more commonly referred to as unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, which may be linked to America's adversaries. They are now looking to order the Director of National Intelligence to work with other relevant agencies to produce a report detailing just what information they have on UAPs already, how that data is collected and processed, how it's getting shared, and just what kind of threats or other risks these objects might pose. The call for the UAP review was included in a report accompanying a draft of Intelligence Authorization Act fiscal year 2021 that Senator Marco Rubio, a Florida Republican, submitted on behalf of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence on June 17, 2020. Danny Silva of the SylviaRecord.com was the first to report on the document. The committee supports the efforts of Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force as the official naval intelligence to standardize collection and reporting on unidentified aerial phenomena. Any links they have to adversarial foreign governments and the threat they pose to the U.S. military assets and installations, the committee report says. However, the committee remains concerned that there is no unified, comprehensive process within the federal government for collecting and analyzing intelligence or unidentified aerial phenomena, despite the potential threat. The committee understands that the relevant intelligence may be sensitive. Nevertheless, the committee finds that the information sharing and coordination across the intelligence community has been inconsistent, and the issue has lacked attention from senior leaders. So, what Rubio and his colleagues are now asking for in a report on these issues within 180 days, that the Director of National Intelligence, together with the Secretary of Defense, and other parties that deem relevant, would produce what would be primarily unclassified, though it could have additional details in a classified annex. The review would have to cover the following points. 1. A detailed analysis of the unidentified aerial phenomena data and intelligence report collected and held by the Office of Naval Intelligence, including data and intelligence reporting held by the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. 2. A detailed analysis of unidentified phenomena data collected by geospatial intelligence, signals intelligence, human intelligence, and measurements and signal intelligence. So apparently those are studies that do signal intelligence, like radars and other scientific collection groups. Says number 3, a detailed analysis of the data of the FBI, which has derived from investigations of intrusions of unidentified aerial phenomena data over restricted United States airspace. So anything the FBI has that has to do with the UFO investigations. Also, number 4, a detailed description of an interagency process for ensuring timely data collection and centralized analysis of all unidentified aerial phenomena reporting from the federal government, regardless of which service of agency acquired the information. So they're asking for a detailed description of data from the federal government itself. Number 5, identification of an official accountable for the process described in paragraph 4. So they're asking for accountable people and the processes for paragraph 4. Also, number 6, identification of potential aerospace or other threats posed by the unidentified aerial phenomena to national security. An assessment of whether this unidentified aerial phenomena activity may be attributed to one or more foreign adversaries. And number 7, an identification of any incidents or patterns that indicate a potential adversary may have achieved breakthrough in aerospace capabilities that put the United States strategic or conventional forces at risk. Number 8, recommendations regarding increased collection of data, enhanced research and development, and additional funding and other resources. So this is they're pretty much going for it. They're going for all the information they can gather from this inquiry. It says it's important to note that the Senate still has to finalize its Intelligence Authorization Act for the fiscal year of 2021, and they will have to reconcile it with its companion in the House of Representatives. Both chambers have to pass it, and President Donald Trump has to sign it into law. Even then, the additional guidance in this accompanying report is non-binding. It is also worth noting that its committee report, as well as its existing draft of the latest Intelligence Authorization Act, have classified annexes, which may have additional provisions regarding UAPs, though there is no way to tell for certain. However, the public request for a report by itself includes a number of significant new details, including right up front that the Navy has a dedicated task force on this issue, for reasons that remain unexplained and that the war zone has delved into detail in the past. The Navy is a service at the center of all the major public or publicized UAP encounters in the past 2 decades. There have been virtually no significant public comments from the rest of the U.S. military regarding any similar events. It is known that the Navy has been the service providing classified briefings on UAPs to senior members of Congress ever since the New York Times published its first detailed expose on the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program and its predecessors, which also focused in part on investigating reports of unidentified aerial objects in 2017. Some legislators have already expressed their concerns about the substance of the information the service has been providing, whether the known UAP encounters represent potential threats to national security, and whether those issues are being taken seriously. As the war zone, as many others have reported in the past, the specific mention that the Federal Bureau of Investigation has been collecting information about UAPs since it is also notable is not surprising. As well, the Bureau was among the U.S. government agencies that were known to be involved in the investigations into still unexplained sightings of unidentified objects flying over various parts of Colorado and Nebraska, including near sensitive U.S. Air Force facilities between December 2019 and January 2020. There's no indication the incident was a direct factor into the the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence request. The war zone has continued to explore the story in detail, which you can read more about here and here. I'll leave the link to this article so you guys can check it out also. In addition to the information, the Navy, the FBI specifically, the Senate wants to see any other data on the UAPs derived from basically any other intelligence sources and methods available to the U.S. government. It specifically mentions geospatial intelligence, signals intelligence, human intelligence, which is HUMINT, and a measurement and signal intelligence. So it's different groups that study different signals for these UAPs. Perhaps the most interesting and worrisome part of the provision and the apparent admission that the senators in charge of overseeing America's intelligence gathering activities do not already have a good understanding of the interagency process for the centralized collection and analysis of data on the UAPs from across the federal government, or who might be the top official in charge of the process if it exists. It's hard to understand how it could be the case after all this time, given the possibility that these encounters could reflect threats to the U.S. national security, including direct from America's potential adversaries, something the war zone has regularly highlighted when discussing the events in the past. When the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence wants out of this report only underscores these concerns. The committee's stipulations focus heavily on potential foreign and involvement of these events, such as whether these UAP encounters can be attributed to one or more foreign adversaries, and if these indicators are the breakthroughs of aerospace capabilities rather than outright fears about any sort of potential extraterrestrial activity, but some may still interpret this as ambiguous. Last month, the war zone was first to report on new information obtained via the Freedom of Information Act regarding encounters between the Navy pilots and the UAPs along the east coast of the United States in recent years to specifically describe many of the objects as familiar man-made designs or balloon-like objects. On top of all of this, it is also notable the members of the Senate are seeking an unclassified review of these issues that they could release to the American people. If this comes to pass, this could easily become one of the most significant publicly available official reports on UFOs or UAPs encounters since the U.S. Air Force Project Blue Book studies in the 50s and 60s. It still remains to be seen how the Director of the National Intelligence will respond to this request, but the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence inclusions on this report clear indicators that there is a desire among at least some lawmakers to get more information about what the U.S. military as well as other agencies knows about UAPs and what threats they might present to the United States. Alright, that was a mouthful and a half to try and read peacefully, but pretty much they're trying to get as much information as they can out of the U.S. government and into public hands, and that's a great breakthrough when it comes to UFO researchers and UFO information. Alright, next. Senators want the public to see the government's UFO reports. Basically, what I just read about, I just wanted to show that there's more articles on this subject. And also, it's not ours. The government denies knowledge of strange UFO over Japanese city. It looks like a weather balloon, but the Japanese Meteorological Agency denies it's theirs. So there's UFO reports happening still, and I could do another video later on about more recent UFO reports. It's been a while since I've done a video on UFOs. It says it's not a bird, it's not a plane, and it's not an alien. Is never an alien from planet Krypton or otherwise. Still, the origin of the strange balloon-like UFO that appeared in the sky over the city of Sendai, Japan yesterday, June 17th, around 7 a.m. local time, remains a mystery. A full day after its sudden arrival, the object looked like a large, unmanned balloon attached to two cross propellers, according to news reports. The UFO lingered in the sky, largely motionless for several hours, before drifting over the Pacific Ocean, the AFP reported. So they have video on it, but it's pretty much a balloon-looking craft. But it does bring to mind that there could be millions of reports out there that people don't even talk about or aren't shared in the mainstream media. Also, permanent Pine Bush UFO museum in the works. Pine Bush, the town of Crawford, is looking to make part of the annual Hamlet UFO Fair into a permanent, year-round fixture with a paranormal museum and haunted house. So there's people making museums about UFOs, something that is always interesting and keeps people coming to and visiting places, pretty much UFO museums and UFO hotspots. Alright, says Trump says he heard very interesting things about Roswell, site of an alleged UFO event. The president was asked by his eldest son where he could declassify information about the New Mexico location. President Donald Trump said he heard some interesting things about Roswell, but he's not sharing even with his eldest child. Trump has made comments on Thursday in Father's Day themed interview with his son, Trump Jr., hosted by the president's re-election campaign. Don Jr. wound down his interview by jokingly asking his dad if he would ever divulge more information about Roswell, the New Mexico city known for its proximity to arguably the most famous UFO event, and let us know what's really going on. Trump responded, "I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it is very interesting." So it is very interesting indeed that the president at least knows something about it, even if it might be a small tidbit or some small information. It's still quite interesting that the president mentioned it at all. Also, the Navy says UFOs are real. Are they little green people? Unlikely. In late April, Department of Defense released footage of the Navy fighter pilots encountered something undeniable or unidentifiable. The black and white videos are grainy and show small objects flying across in flight cameras of Navy fighter pilots. We had covered this before. The fighter pilot videos of UFOs that were released to the government. If you feel like checking out those videos, that if you have to look through my videos because I have over 600 videos, but if you browse through, you see reports on UFOs and things like that that I have made. And I can go over them again and make other videos, but I just wanted to share the information that the senators are looking to not declassify, but get information straight from the source, the government itself, and see what kind of information they managed to shake loose from the government about UFOs. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hit like and subscribe for more information. See you guys next time, and God bless. Keep looking to the skies.